Hello, this is the COTRI Weekly editorial of October 5, 2021, with the headline, Happy Birthday. We are currently in the Golden Week, celebrating the 72nd anniversary of the foundation of the People's Republic of China, with a week-long holiday for the whole country. In recent surveys, 3/4 of the Chinese declared their intention to travel during this period, domestically, of course, as the borders of the country remain strictly closed and under a quarantine system that makes international tourism, especially leisure tourism, practically impossible. The Chinese government is the last leadership which insists on keeping a zero cases policy after Australia and New Zealand declared their intention to open their countries again at the end of the year, and many other countries announced similar steps in the coming months or have already returned to a more or less pre-pandemic border regime, at least for fully vaccinated persons. From China, quite different signals are broadcasted. With the decision to organize the Olympic and the Paralympics Winter Games in February and March 2022, using a fully separate transportation system and in a bubble with a complete isolation of the athletes and officials in their quarters and venues, and without the participation of any international spectators, it seems more and more likely that until March 2022, no major change in the border regime will happen. Well, for the 45th anniversary of the PR of China back in 1994, I had the honor to be invited as one of 5 international guests, not counting diplomats, for the dinner in the Great Hall of the People and to observe the ceremonies on Tiananmen Square from the rostrum of the Tiananmen Gate. Li Peng, the premier at that time, delivered the main speech during the dinner. Well, Mr. Li was not much of a reformer, but after the collapse of the Soviet Union in 1991 and the so-called Southern Inspection Tour of Deng Xiaoping in 1992, the reform and opening process had got new wings in China and started the remarkable rise of China towards becoming the biggest economy in the world. The Soviet Union, which officially was established 5 years after the October Revolution, 1907, in 1922, reached an age of 71 years before it was dissolved, making the People's Republic of China now the longest standing country based on the rule of a single party organized according to Leninist principles. In a remarkable article in the UAE publication, The National, the fellow at Harvard University's Kennedy School of Government and staunch defender of the policies of the Chinese Communist Party, Professor Shirley Yu, explained under the headline, why the Evergrande collapse is part of China's economic justice plan. All the attacks of recent months on tech companies, cramming schools, video gaming kids, English lessons in school, rich citizens threatened by taxes, investors in bankrupt real estate companies being left without an apartment for their money, the feeling of security of neighboring countries, the casinos in the Macau as they are, women and their right of abortion, cities in need of electricity, global supply chains, and indeed outbound travelers. So all this was explained with a new spin on the history of modern China. And I quote, "The first 3 decades of the People's Republic were characterized by the success of nationalization of private companies. The following 3 decades then thrived on privatization of state ownerships, rewinding the nationalization achieved in the first 30 years. In the 3 decades to come, China is likely to look at renationalization of some fundamental drivers of the private economy, particularly data. End of the quote. So, following that, the years 1949 to 1978 under Chairman Mao were successful, including the Great Leap Forward and the Cultural Revolution, whereas the reform and opening period under Deng Xiaoping, 1979 to 2008, rewinded these achievements. From 2009, therefore, since Xi Jinping became vice president, the excessive influence and power of private enterprises started to be taken back by the government, especially when it comes to fundamental drivers like, according to you, data. And despite all the measures taken already, just mentioned, we are still, says you, at the start of the third phase. Well, again, thinking back, in early October 1989, I remember being in a panel discussion in my hometown, West Berlin, on the occasion of the 40th birthday of the German Democratic Republic, East Germany, on October the 7th of that year, during which I, like almost all the other participants, denied any possibility of an imminent fall of the Berlin Wall or an end of the regime in East Germany, let alone in the Soviet Union. 1 month later, the wall came down under the shouts and the demand of, "We want freedom of travel." So, happy birthday, People's Republic of China, with best wishes foremost fitting for a septuagenarian of good health in these times, when the cold winds of history seem to blow stronger than ever before in the 21st century. And for all of you, as always, best wishes from me and the entire COTRI Weekly team. My name is Professor Dr. Wolfgang Georg Art. I'm the CEO of COTRI, China Outbound Tourism Research Institute. Thank you very much.